Some African leaders have taken upon themselves to fix their nation irrespective of what happens, even if it means being on the Western blacklist. These African presidents openly challenge the West in many ways, standing up for their country and openly speaking their minds. What they have been doing so far has gone a long way to break the old stereotype of African president being Western puppets. In this video, we're going to talk about 7 African leaders that have been doing the most to break their nation free from Western bondage. 1. Ibrahim Traore. Ibrahim Traoré is a Burkinabè military officer who has been the interim leader of Burkina Faso since September 30, 2022 coup d'état, which ousted interim president Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba. At age 34, Traoré is currently the youngest serving president in the world. Since his rise to power, Traoré has been doing things to better his country and not please the West. In February 2023, Traoré's government expelled the French forces assisting in fighting the local insurgency from Burkina Faso. He subsequently declared, "We really want to look at other horizons because we want win-win partnerships, supporting the diversification of Burkina Faso's international partnerships." Shortly after, Traoré's government expressed support for a federation with Mali, and they both invited Guinea. All 3 countries are under military leadership, and if it were to become a union, it would be the largest country ruled by military junta. On 29 July 2023, following the 2023 Russia-Africa Summit, Traoré said that the people of his country support Russia and communicated that a decision had been made to reopen the Russian embassy, which was closed in 1992. Traoré is one who believes that African heads of state must stop acting like marionettes who dance each time the imperialists pull on their strings. Ibrahim Traoré believes that Africa can be a way better place without the help of the West. They are blessed with many raw materials and minerals to exploit and build a better Africa. Since Traoré's rise to power, there have been numerous failed coups against him. It won't be strange if it was proved to be coming from the West. 2. Akufo-Addo. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, age 79, is the president of Ghana since 2017. He previously served as Attorney General from 2001 to 2003 and as Minister for Foreign Affairs from 2003 to 2007 under the Kufuor-led administration. President Nana Akufo-Addo sticks to his opposition against LGBTQ forced on African countries. He keeps saying it's not a priority for Ghana, and so long as he remains president of Ghana, he will never legalize LGBTQ in his country. He is bent on protecting the Ghanaian culture and values, and would not let Western pressure change that. He is committed is keeping the African identity. 3. William Ruto. William Kipchirchir Samoei Arap Ruto, aged 56, is a Kenyan politician who has served as the 5th president of Kenya since 13 September 2022. Prior to becoming president, he served as the first elected deputy president of Kenya from 2013 to 2022. Previously, holders of the position were referred to as vice president, and the office holder was unelected and appointed by the president. President William Ruto during the Russia-Africa Summit said the West's insistence on all 54 African leaders to attend the summit is both demeaning and ineffective. Because of this, William Ruto proposes that Africa can be represented as a continent by special envoys who engage with Western leaders in a practical manner. By so doing, meaning discussions can be held and conferences will go beyond photo opportunity. This approach will respect the autonomy and dignity of all African leaders, thereby eliminating the notion of all 54 African leaders being summoned like children by world leaders. He emphasized on the need for constructive dialogue and a more equitable platform for Africa's voice to be heard and respected on a global stage. He says if it's not going to be business as usual with the meetings involving Africa and countries like the US, Europe, India, Turkey, Japan, and Russia, then it's not intelligent for all 54 African leaders to sit before one gentleman from another place. President William Ruto didn't hold back in saying all these and standing up for African leaders. 4. Paul Kagame. Paul Kagame, age 66, is a Rwandan politician and former military officer who is the fourth and current president of Rwanda since 2000. Rwanda's president declared he will run for a fourth term next year, saying that what the West thinks is not my problem, after the United States and others criticized the earlier lifting of term limits to extend his rule. Western journalists and bloggers describe him as arrogant because he has challenged them many times over their patronizing attitudes. In his 2009 inaugural speech, he laid out one of his views of the West in relation to him. He said that Africa's biggest problem is not the lack of democracy, but poverty and the dependence that comes with underdevelopment. It is this situation that allows some governments and even non-governmental organizations who are not accountable to anyone other than themselves to think that they have the right to dictate the conduct of legitimate state actors. Furthermore, these external actors turn around and promote their ideas of adventurers who have no legitimacy and do not relate to the majority of the people and deserve nothing more than to be ignored. Many times President Kagame has expressed frustration with the international community's attitude about using foreign aid as political leverage in Africa. 5. Yoweri Museveni. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, age 79, is a Ugandan military officer, politician, and revolutionary who has been serving as the 9th president of Uganda since 1986. On May 2023, President Yoweri Museveni signed a bill criminalizing same-sex conduct, including potentially the death penalty for those convicted of aggravated homosexuality, into law. The anti-LGBTQ law, enacted in May, has drawn widespread criticism from local and international rights organizations and Western governments, though it is popular domestically. After this law was enacted, the World Bank, which has long been Uganda's biggest provider of budget support, froze funding in August because apparently the nation's anti-LGBTQ Act contradicts its values. Museveni said in a statement that Uganda was trying to reduce borrowing in any case and would not give in to pressure from foreign institutions. It is therefore unfortunate that the World Bank and other actors dare to want to coerce us into abandoning our faith, culture, principles, and sovereignty using money. They really underestimate all Africans, he said. Museveni said that if Uganda needed to borrow, it could tap other sources, and that oil production expected to start by 2025 would provide additional revenues. 6. Colonel Goita. Colonel Assimi Goita, aged 40, is a Malian military officer who has been interim president of Mali since 28 May 2021. Goita was the leader of the National Committee for the Salvation of the People, a military force that seized power from former President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta in the 2020 Malian coup d'état. While he might not be vocal about his discontentment with Western leaders, he demonstrates that actions do speak louder than words. He went ahead to ban all activities of non-governmental organizations. Shortly after his takeover, Mali's army-led government asked France to withdraw its forces from the Sahel state without delay. A government spokesman added in a statement announced on public television that the results of France's 9-year military engagement in conflict-torn Mali were not satisfactory. France first intervened in Mali in 2013 to combat a jihadist insurgency that emerged 1 year prior. It had thousands of troops stationed across the Sahel, with the majority in Mali. However, relations between the two countries deteriorated sharply after Mali's army seized power in a coup in 2020, and later defied calls to restore civilian rule swiftly. He also went ahead to block local retransmission of the signals of French international news broadcasters Radio France Internationale, RFI, and France 24. Mali's government also announced a ban on aid groups that are funded by France. All this is an attempt by the coup leader in charge to distance the West African country from his country completely. 7. Felix Tshisekedi. Felix Antoine Tshisekedi Tshilombo, age 60, is a Congolese politician who has been the president of the Democratic Republic of the Congo since 24 January 2019. President Felix Tshisekedi is not afraid of saying what he thinks out loud. He stood up against French President Emmanuel Macron challenging Europe's bossy behavior against Africa. He urged Europe, particularly France, to change its patronizing attitude towards African countries. The way of seeing things when they happen in Africa must change in our relations with France in particular, but also with the West in general, the president said. He made his remarks during a press conference with France President Emmanuel Macron, who was on a Central Africa visit. Addressing Macron during the conference, Tshisekedi stressed the importance of mutual respect between EU and African countries. The president urged France to look at African countries differently and to consider them as partners and not with a paternalistic look, Tshisekedi stressed. Tshisekedi's remarks have been echoed by several countries, refusing France's attitude and neo-colonialism approach. Here are just a few of African leaders who boldly take on the West and its media regardless of what might happen. Do you think Africa is successfully slowly cutting ties with the West? Drop your thoughts in the comments section, like, subscribe and share.